Let me ask you something. How many unfinished tracks are sitting on your hard drive right now? 5, 10, maybe even 50? I know I have quite a few myself. It's the classic struggle for producers. Starting a track is easy, right? Getting that loop going, but finishing, that is a whole other story. But what if I told you that it's those unfinished projects? They're the one thing that's holding you back from becoming the producer you dream of being. So in today's video, I'm going to break down 6 reasons why you need to finish more music. Now, whether you're just starting out or you've been at this for years, this is your wake-up call, because guess what? Progress is not about perfection. It's about finishing what you start. By the end of this video, you'll know why finishing your tracks is the one habit you need in 2025 to get better than 90% of music producers out there. Right, let's dive in. First things first, every track you finish teaches you something. From sound design to arrangement, even mixing tracks. Each completed project is a stepping stone to becoming a better producer. But if you never finish, you'll keep making the same mistakes over and over. You might think you're improving just by creating loop after loop, but without seeing a project all the way through, you're missing out on key lessons. How will you know if your arrangement flows well? Or if your mix translates to different playback systems? Those are the things you only learn in the final stages of finishing a track, and that's where the real growth happens. Finished tracks force you to face challenges, make decisions, and most importantly, learn from the process. Remember, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice does, and that starts with finishing. Okay, so here is my latest track that I've released. So this is the final finished mix. I think this is pre-mastering, but you'll see it's got a lot of detail. You know, I have kick layers, I have bass layers, lots of drums and vocals, different lead lines, and then there's my mix processing at the bottom, vocal layers, vocal processing, drum mixing processing, bass and low end. So I've not just got the arrangement sorted, which is here at the top, but every single layer has had thought and mixing, and it's a final track that I'm then happy to release. And it's now out on streaming platforms, and I'm pretty happy with how it's doing, actually. When was the last time you shared a track with someone? A mentor, a friend, or even your audience? Unfinished tracks can't get feedback, and without feedback, you're working in a vacuum. Think about it. If you never let anyone hear your work, how can you know what's working or what isn't? Sure, it's terrifying to imagine someone criticizing something you've poured your heart into, but here's the thing, constructive criticism isn't about tearing you down. It doesn't matter what you see on YouTube, those comments can actually help you. Criticism is about building you up. Now, every piece of feedback is a chance to see your music from a fresh perspective, one you may never get on your own. And let's not forget, the feedback loop goes both ways. Sharing finished work often leads to encouragement and validation, which fuels your creative fire. It doesn't have to be negative. Finished tracks give you something to share, and every piece of feedback brings you closer to the sound you're chasing. Don't underestimate how much this will help you level up. Now imagine the confidence boost of looking at a playlist filled with your own music. Finished music. Feels good, right? The longer you leave tracks unfinished, the harder it gets to start or even finish the next one. It's like you're building a mental wall every time you walk away from a project without seeing it through. Now, over time, that wall becomes a mountain, and suddenly even the idea of finishing feels overwhelming. It's easy to get stuck in a cycle of self-doubt. You know, is this track even any good? Will people like it? That fear of failure stops you in your tracks, literally, and that creates a spiral of lost confidence and lost momentum. Finishing tracks builds momentum. With each project completed, you'll feel more capable and motivated to tackle the next one. Confidence is a muscle. Use it or lose it. So if we take a quick look at my own Spotify, you know, I have now started releasing tracks relatively consistently over the past couple of years. You know, and they're getting some reasonable streams, but what I was talking about was, you know, I now have a playlist here, which is all of my tracks. 10 songs. So I have 10 songs released. You know, that is not a lot, but I'm working on it. Some of them, you know, recently a few weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, I have now a pipeline of new tracks that are coming out, and I have 3, 4, 5 that are more or less there that will be coming out over the next few months. So this is only going to grow, and I can see how much better I'm getting just by doing this, by being rigorous. So, I am advising you to do it, but I am going through it as well. And I have suffered with not doing this. I have suffered with wanting to make these tracks really, really good. Now I think they are good enough to get out there, and, they are getting some streams. My latest track, which has been out a few weeks unspoken, has 9,000 streams in about 3.5 weeks. And you can see my top 5 tracks are all over 10,000 streams. Number one, this was out a couple of months ago and it's on 30,000. So look, I am not a huge artist, but I am seeing progress, and I am seeing improvement and engagement from people out there in the real world. And that's what it's all about. Here's a reality check. Nobody books gigs or signs artists based on unfinished tracks. Those tracks sitting on your laptop, that's not going to get you anywhere. Those unfinished tracks might feel like potential, but they're just that. They're potential. They don't showcase your ability for good or for worse. They don't tell people how able you are to complete a thought, tell a story, or take an idea all the way through to the end. And when you're trying to build a career or even just a reputation here on YouTube, your finished work is your resume. Imagine reaching out to a label or a promoter with nothing but half-baked ideas. They won't see what you're capable of. In fact, they probably won't even take your call or answer your email. Opportunities don't come to people who are almost there, who are trying hard. They come to people who've proven they can deliver. Finished music is your calling card. Whether it's Spotify streams, DJ sets, or licensing deals, opportunities come to those who deliver. Your sound as a producer isn't something you stumble upon. It's something you develop. Constantly on YouTube, you hear stories about finding your sound, creating your signature sound. It's all about sound design. And no, it's not. It's something you develop over time. But how can you develop and refine your style if you're not seeing tracks through to completion? Half-finished ideas might give you a glimpse of what you like, but they don't reveal the full picture. Think about it. Your sound isn't just about a loop or a hook. It's about how you structure a song, the way you handle transitions, the mood you create from start to finish. By not finishing your music, you're robbing yourself of the chance to discover who you really are as an artist. And let's be real, your audience is waiting to hear you, not just a collection of disconnected ideas. Finishing tracks allows you to experiment, to analyse and evolve over time. These kind of sounds and these patterns will emerge, and eventually your signature sound will start to shine through. Let's be real, perfectionism is a killer. We hold on to projects because we think they're not good enough yet. But let me ask you this, who decides what's good enough? Perfection is an illusion. It's a moving target you will never hit because your standards will always change. The track you're obsessing over today might sound completely different to you in 6 months. And while you're stuck trying to perfect one idea, you're missing the chance to create and finish more music. What's worse, this fear of imperfection can paralyse you, stopping you from putting anything out there at all. And when that happens, the world never gets to hear your music. Isn't that scarier than a few rough edges? I was just listening to a podcast earlier today about an artist who I totally admire. He was playing back a track from, 5-6 years ago, and he absolutely hated it. That track that he put out that he absolutely loved 5 or 6 years ago is just not good enough for him now. That is the beauty of putting things out. You get better, you improve, and it may not be perfect, but it's good enough. Finishing tracks frees you from that fear of imperfection. It's about growth. It's not about perfection. And as the saying goes, done is better than perfect. Let it go and move on. So look, I'm as guilty as you are in terms of finished tracks. I have on my system here, I have tracks split up by years, all the way back to 2021. By month here, and then if you go into each month, I have lots of tracks, and out of all of these tracks, which must be dozens this year and last year, I've probably released a dozen, but that's something that I want to get better at as well. So it's very easy not to finish tracks. It's hard, in fact, to finish tracks, but getting them out there, getting your filing system from these ideas and out into the world, that is where you see real progress. You see, finishing music isn't just about putting a song out there, although I do think that's important and it's what I try and do myself. But it is about progress, it's about growth, and it's about finding your voice and your style as an artist. Every track you finish brings you closer to the producer you want to be. So the next time you're tempted to leave a project half done, stick it in your archive filing system. Remember these 6 reasons and push through to the end, because finished music is the only music that truly matters. Now, check out this other video here that YouTube thinks you'll like. And look, YouTube is pretty smart. See you next time. Thanks for watching.